Hey people, so my name is Precious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with Precious. So today I'm going to be doing a review on the Isley Brothers concert that I went to in Charlotte, North Carolina, that also starred John B, SWV, and Keke Wyatt. Okay, so I decided to go to this concert, y'all, because I love 90s music. I love all music, but 90s music, especially 90s R&B, is like one of the best music. Hey, Beautiful Magic. As one of the best music genres of music time eras of all time. You had John B, you had SWV, you had Isley Brothers, and Keke Y. So let me tell y'all how this was. So the concert was at the Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte. My first time going. Bojangles Coliseum is huge compared to the Greensboro Coliseum. And in my opinion, it's a lot nicer. I'm just go ahead and put it out there. It's a lot nicer. Charlotte, to me, comparing it to Greensboro, is 10 times better. The airport is better. The concert halls is better. And the city, to me, it just looks more va-va-voom. And it's just me. But so the Bojangles Coliseum was the best. Of course, you got Bojangles food, you got drinks, you got all types of snacks, concession stands, and everything. So as far as like the entertainment and keeping you entertained, it was good. Now let's get down to like the prelude of the show. So, we had hosts, and this was the first time I had ever been to a concert that had hosts that were like pumping up the show. They did a pretty good job. They played some 80s music, some 80s R&B and hip hop. And we pretty much went through like the reel of all the 90s stuff, all the 80s stuff. Recently they had the Can We Talk by Tevin Campbell um Instagram challenge, and they played that song where we all sung to the top of our lungs. And they played, let's see, they didn't play any Shock G, they didn't play any Tupac. They played, how can I say it? I don't know a lot of these people off the top of my head. It would take me a minute to get there, but to those of you that love 80s R&B music and 90s R&B and hip hop music, y'all can imagine what kind of music was played. So let's get down to the concert. Now, the first runner up was Keke Wyatt. Did not like it at all. So Keke Wyatt, she came up there, and one thing I didn't like was, the only thing I could say, John B and SWV, they were my two favorite performances of that night. They came in some type of uniform or in some type of look. Keith Wyatt, to me, she looked like she was on her way to a Christmas party. I'm just being honest. She had like the little furry, she had like the little furry red sweater on and like tight black slacks with some boots. And she up on stage like, I'm sick, y'all. I kind of contemplated not coming, but I said I was gonna come, so y'all just help me out. Oh, John B, he still look good. Yeah, he still look good. I'll get to that one later. But but Keke Wyatt got up there and she was started singing and crow. My favorite song. She messed up both of the Avant songs that she sung. My First Love, she wanted us to sing the song instead of her singing. And she came in at the later half singing and everything. And then it's My First Love. And then there was another one called You and I Together for Always, Baby I. The one she sung with Avant, she messed that one up too. It's like in and out. She coming in and out, high note, low note, then handing the mic over to us, wanting us to sing. I'm like, come on, Keke. I mainly came just to hear those two songs from her. I'm not really a big Keke Wyatt fan, because when she was on R&B Divas, that was just a mess. And so I was glad when she got off the stage. Then John B was like the second one up. John B had the best set by far. He came, because whenever he comes, he always comes, with his suits. Because he got a look now where he got like the spiky, like shortcut hair, and he got like the suit. He had on like a red and black suit. Y'all probably saw it in my short because I posted it on my YouTube page as well as my Facebook and my Instagram. And so he came, with the little, outfit and everything. And the one thing I liked about John B was that the sound was good. The thing I hate, especially with like black performances and stuff, sometimes, we can be a little sloppy when it comes to the setup and everything, where we don't sound check, we don't check to see if the speaker's right, anybody can sing. And Keke Wyatt, you didn't have that problem with her. John B, when he got up there, he pretty much came on stage and they did his interlude and welcomed him in, calling him white chocolate. Calling him white chocolate and everything. And so he pretty much got on stage. He was talking about his life and his career and everything. And he pretty much sung, I think Pretty Girl was the first song that he sung. And it amazes me how much he sounded just like Babyface. Because I know like he started out with Babyface and he really was Babyface's protege. But I didn't realize he sounded that much like him because, I mean, when we was at the concert, his voice and the vocals and stuff, it was on point. It was just like it was back in 1994. Like, he sounded so good. He did Pretty Girl, and then he did his other songs. I'm trying my best to get right with these songs, y'all. He did the Pretty Girl song, and then he did Someone to Love. He did that song. You know what? I actually messed that up. Pretty Girl was not the song that he did with Babyface. Pretty Girl was the song that had the video that was like the Native American theme one. And that's when he had like the Dutch boy cut before he had the R&B look with the goatee. And so he did that one. And then he did the Someone to Love song that he had with Babyface. That one was good. And then he did the what was the name of that song with Tupac? Are You Still Down? That was by far the best one, and he played Tupac's part. The only thing I didn't like was that when it got down to Tupac's part, they played the instrumental from like a other Tupac song to kind of fill in. I don't know why they did that. I guess just to give it the Tupac feel and whatever, but I would have liked it better just to hear Tupac rapping on there, with the regular beat, but okay. And then, he got down to he did that song, Are You Still Down? He did A Pretty Girl, Someone to Love. He did Don't Say. And he did I Do What You Say, Boo. And then the last one, which is everybody's favorite, They Don't Know. And it was just so funny because it's like the way that he played his songs. I mean, everybody stood up because you know how people come in late sometimes for concerts or they don't want to come until their favorite person comes. John B, he pulled some people because when I was there and Keke Wyatt was there, it was kind of scarce. But when John B, most of the people were standing up. They had their cameras out, phones out. They were singing and shouting his name and everything. Like he pulled in some numbers. Now, it was so funny. I liked the ending where he got to the part. What part was that? I'm trying to get to the part, y'all. I'm trying to remember. When he got to the You're My Angel part, you had the choir directors in the crowd going like, now here you go. You're my angel. Nothing gonna make you fall forever. And I mean everybody was singing this song. And it was just so nostalgic. I love when you come, and it was just like the B2K Millennium Tour that I went to. I didn't go to the second one after Fizz and Amarion fell out. I went to the first one when all of them was together. And that concert, it was pure nostalgia. Nobody messed up. The sound was good. Nobody tried to pull no Kanye West, Beyonce had the best R&B album or whatever. Nobody tried to pull no mess, and it was good. And when John B, when he did his, no matter how he looked or whatever, it was pure nostalgia. He sounded just the way he did back in the 90s. Now, as far as him being fine, yes, he is still fine. And he's only 47 years old. I did not know John B was 47 years old. I thought he might have been a little older. I thought he might have been 50 because most of the R&B and hip hop people from the 90s are either turning 50 or already in their 50s. But he's only 47 years old. So that means that when a lot of his songs started blowing up and whatnot, he was like my age. Yeah, he's only 47 years old. So back in 1998, when his Cool Relax album, he was only like 26, 27. So yeah, and he is married with 2 kids. He had to make sure to put that out there. He was like, I've had a lot of good years. I thank y'all for supporting me. And in the midst of all that, I've got married and had 2 kids, by the way. I'm like, he just had to put that in there to let everybody know that he's singing and whatnot. John B, if you look at John B's unsung and some of his interviews and stuff on here, John B, he don't like telling his business, but we all know he like black women because I actually find it amazing. I don't know why John B didn't get this recognition back in the 90s, probably because he was a white dude. Because I mean, back then when it came to white people singing our music, you had like Tina Marie, she got respected, ruined it for everybody. What ruined what for everybody? I'm getting hot, hot, hot. But but yeah, with John B, I don't know if it was because he was white back then in the 90s. Because I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, you did have a couple of white people who sung black music. Because I got my phone here. Because this one guy on TikTok, he did a reel about the artists and the songs that you heard that you didn't know was by a white person, but they were like R&B songs or whatever. John B was on the list, of course, but I mean, everybody back then they knew he was. Everybody back then pretty much knew he was white. So, but the other people that are on here, I'm gonna pull it up, telling that he was married, so we can't think about him that special way. I know, but to be honest, I don't care if he's married or whatever. He's still fine to me. So that's that. And plus, John B, he get to the business over. I'm gonna get to that once I go over this thing. But yeah, John B. Before John B, you had Tina Marie, and you had the list is coming up. I can't play the music on here because you know how YouTube is with playing other people's music. Okay, it was another one. Okay. You got Bobby Caldwell who sung What You Won't Do for Love, and Tupac actually sampled that song. I don't know, he was white. I thought it was black. But that's one. And then John B comes up on the list. But everybody knew he was white back then. So anytime people hear they don't know, they know he's white unless they're like a and Michael McDonald. Everybody know Michael McDonald. He sung a lot of, soul music and stuff. But he was white. But John B, for the most part back then, everybody knew he was white unless you're a person from like my brother's generation that was born in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. If you listen, you probably thinking he's black when we watch his videos and look him up. Okay, he's a white dude. But John B, to be honest, it's amazing how like back then, and I guess there wasn't a lot of that being shown on TV in the 90s, but John B, he loved black women. Like every music video he had a black woman of every shade in his videos. Because in the They Don't Know video, it was a light skinned girl. And then I Do What You Say Boo was a dark skinned girl. And she was a model at that because I remember her back then in the 90s. And then in the Don't Say video, he had Santa Lathan who played in that video. And she's like a brown skin girl. So it's like he appreciated black women of like every shade and skin tone back then. And plus, I think he was one of the only R&B singers back then that had like an interracial relationship portrayed in the music video. Because back in the 90s with black people, you didn't see that at all. And even like on black sitcoms, I don't think they were really trying to show it. And I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I didn't really see any interracial couples, especially between a black woman and a white man on TV back then. And I remember an episode of Moesha where there was like this white guy that she liked. And I think they might have met at an arcade or something. And they started talking, but it's like people was talking about her at school dating somebody white. And then people was talking about him at school dating somebody black. And it's like they wanted to try it out, but it was just too hot. And I think even Moesha's parents weren't cool with that either. Because it's like back then in the 90s, black people were still very pro black. And it seemed like whenever you touched on blacks dating whites, especially, I felt like it was more animosity towards black men dating white women more so than black women dating white men back then. But, still, it was almost a taboo thing for us to date out. And it's like with John B, him being, white, he liked what he liked. He liked black women. And in that video, let's see. Yeah, I grew up in the 90s. I don't remember seeing it either. Yeah. And John B, he pushed the envelope. And I mean, he did it. He doesn't really get credit for that. Because it's like in the past years, people have gotten so angry about mixed kids with like natural curly hair popping up in commercials, especially like that Cheerios commercial that came out. And then sometimes you used to see how the husband would be black and they would kind of cut the white wife in half, or they would kind of show them in different scenes. But it's like you kind of had to think and say, oh, they're together, but they don't really want to show it. And to me, it's crazy because I've been told that in other states, you see interracial couples and stuff all the time. And I can honestly say one time in one McDonald's commercial, they had a black woman with a Hispanic man. And that was the first time I ever seen that mix in a commercial. But yeah, it's like in Moesha, I saw them touch on it a little bit, but they don't want to go that far. So they just kind of just left it alone. But yeah, John B, he pretty much pressed the envelope. And I mean, in the I Do What You Say Boo video, it started off, I don't know if I'm sure you probably seen it or not since you love John B. And I saw the video for the first time the other day, and it starts off like kids playing in school, and then there's this like little mixed girl that is there, and it plays like John B's daughter between him and the other woman that he likes or whatever. I guess I got kind of confused with that because a little girl was playing, and John B got out the car to go and pick her up. But anyways, when you get to the end, when they're at the dinner table and stuff, it's her. So it starts off with John B singing or whatever, and the little girl who's like mixed, light skin, got long brown hair, and she's in school playing with kids, and he's coming by to pick her up and everything, and then it's like he's singing at like the table, and everybody's crowded around, and then it's like her looking over at him, and he's looking at her, and it's like this whole big thing, and then it's like at the end, it's like the whole family, her family is more so at the dinner table, and he gets up kind of hesitant, saying like he wants to ask her hand in marriage, as a way of showing respect. And he got welcomed to the family. And so that was that. And then it's like at the end, her and John B and the little girl, they took like a family picture. And then at the top, it said like, open your minds, like love John B. And so it's like that was like an in your face kind of thing, for people to open their minds up and to let people date interracially. But back then it just didn't show it. But anyways, John B is still fine. He's still cute. He still got it and everything like that. And I mean, he got the moves and everything like that. Because when he had that suit, he was like, kapop, kapop, up. But he knew not to get too close in front of that speaker because that sound was kind of whoop. And he was like, okay, I'm finna back it up. So I'm just going to dance and hop to it and everything. He had a nice set. It was smooth, the voices was clear, and it wasn't no mess ups. Now let's skip to SWV. SWV, it took them so long to get on stage. Like in between John B, they had to do the interlude, people had to go and get popcorn and chicken and stuff like that. I mean, like this concert was black. You felt like you was at a funeral, church service, or a family reunion. Like I came in there with my little African dress and everything I just bought, and I was the only one that was dressed like that. But I didn't care because I wanted to be different and wear what made me feel good. But yeah, if you went there, it felt like a family reunion, funeral kind of thing. But it was cool though. Everybody was singing and having fun and dipping and stuff in the aisle, so it was all fun and games. I loved it. But in between like SWV, it took them a while to come on stage. And I'm like, okay, SWV, y'all need to come out so we can come on. And then eventually they had like the screen set up for them. It had like the SWV emblem and like the fuchsia and green from their album that week was on. And then when they all came out, now they all had a uniform. They had like a black and gold pullover and had SWV on the top and they had black pants. And Lily, she had on her, usual color wig. Coco looked good, and the other one, I think her name is TJ. Correct me if I'm wrong. TJ, she had her on like regular hair, kind of like mine, but it was pulled back. And they pretty much did a good job, but the sound could have been so much better. It there was some disconnection between the speakers in their ears and the microphones. For whatever reason, TJ kept saying, I can't hear y'all, I can't hear the music, can y'all hear me? Can you hear this? And when they sung, everything was good, but it's like it was almost as if the music was louder than their voices. It's like we heard them, then we didn't hear them, heard them, then we didn't hear them. And it was just like that throughout the whole show. It wasn't bad. It was good. And they were really personal with us. And they performed all of their hits except for the most recent ones like Cosign. Because I really wanted them to sing that one. And then, they had like they sung Right Here. But I don't know if they could have performed the Chris Brown version of it. Because, when Chris Brown, no, SWV, they did the Human Nature mix first with Right Here. And then Chris Brown, back in 2008, 2009, he did the She Ain't You song that sampled the Human Nature song from Michael Jackson. And I do remember this was more so like an Instagram, YouTube kind of thing. Back then when people just mix music and they put it out, but it wasn't official. It was just like internet famous. At SWV, they did like a remix version of Right Here, including Chris Brown's song. So that probably would have been good for them to do. But, I don't know if Chris Brown and SWV have actually performed that song together, but I actually like it because it's a good mix of, old school with Michael Jackson, it's the back in the day with SWV, and then the new generation with, Chris Brown, and they all pay their homage to Michael Jackson, and it just has a good mix and a good flow. But yeah, SWV was great, but the sound could have been so much better. And when it came to the voices, now they can still sing, but Coco, she just could not hit some of them notes like she used to. Because when she got to like the highest notes on some of the songs, it's like she was teetering like in the middle and everything, but she didn't go all the way up like she did on a lot of those songs and stuff. And I know, like, I don't sing professionally, but still, when you're up to a concert, you expect for them to like sing, 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 like, but she didn't sing all the way up like that. She was good, but she didn't sing like high, high, like they usually do. But Lily, she pretty much did good. She did a good job, like getting the crowd and stuff ready and everything, and keeping everybody in the loop. And the crowd was funny. Like people was talking, saying like, and y'all better perform weak. And people was talking back to them. And then like when Keke Wyatt was up there at first, one girl was like, "Oh, She said you could have stayed home with that, Keke." And one lady was a friend of me. She was like, that part. She said that part. Because it's like Keke, my thing is with Keke, she could have stayed home. Because my thing, I feel like whenever you're a performer and people come out to see you, at least have some type of costume on or a look. We don't come to see no like Saturday night special where you singing in your living room and stuff like that. Like when we come to a concert where we setting up, putting our best clothes on, and you supposed to be up there on stage and everything, and you just coming out in a sweater and some slacks and stuff. Like, no. And I understand people can't be sick because you got COVID and the flu and all this stuff going around. But I'm like, if you can't sing, at least lip sync the song. Because you done messed up my song that you sung with Avant. And she was getting up there. She was like, wait a minute. She says, y'all singing Avant's parts better than mine, and it was all fun and games, but I wasn't here for Keke Wyatt when she messed up those Avant songs because I wanted her to sing. Then it got to the Isley Brothers. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I walked out before the Isley Brothers hit the stage. The only song that I like from the Isley Brothers is You Know That I'm Living for the Love of You. That's all I can sing because my voice kind of cracky. I can't sing as good as I used to, but yeah, I like that song from the Isley Brothers, and I really didn't want to stay and hear all of that other music. And then people was complaining. Like when I was getting ready to go home for being at that concert, people was complaining, saying all the brothers and stuff ain't here, and it's taking them forever to get on stage, and the sound just ain't hitting it. And then y'all should have seen those concession stands. Like when people was leaving, they had sold out all the food. Didn't have no more drinks left, no more snacks left, chips. And the Bojangles people said we only got one fry left. We finna close. Like we don't have no food left. Like them people ate up some food. But I mean, it was good, and at least you got to eat good because I didn't get nothing to eat or drink while I was there because I didn't want to lose my seat because I was safe when the concert first got started. But when John B and SWV got on stage, it got packed. I almost couldn't move in my seat. It was people in the front, back, and the side. I'm like this almost like trying to sit in my seat. But yeah, overall, it was a good show. I really liked that area with the Bojangles Coliseum. It was really good. It was really nice. The food looked really good. And y'all, before I went to the concert, I was scared because I had to call an Uber to go and take me. And I was just so scared to get there late because a lot of times the concerts, if you get there at the time it's supposed to start, they don't let you in. And so I stopped at Nasty Cookout. Y'all, I had a cookout that's close to my house, and I heard that somebody got sick or food poison or whatever from them. Because nowadays with this coronavirus, I've noticed that the cooking and the workmanship is so different, and it's really poor compared to what it was before COVID. It's like I've gone to some of these fast food places, I eat it, I'm running to the bathroom, or the customer service is just horrible. People playing, not listening on the voice machine. You got to repeat yourself 5, 6 times. People playing favorites about who to give free stuff to and who not to give free stuff to. And then it's like, even now with I don't have a weak immune system. I've started to take vitamins. And due to my New Year's resolutions, I am going to lose some weight. It's a lot of germs out here, and then this coronavirus is surging. When I say surging, it is like charging, like a battery. It's charging because first you had the Delta variant, it wasn't so bad, but this Omicron, Omarion, variant that's going around, it is raging. I mean, they're canceling flights, people getting stranded overseas and in different states, can't come back home. And people are getting sick, sick, sick by the dozens. And my thing is, people are making this disease. I call it a disease. It's a virus, but they're making this virus so light. I'm like, people have died from this thing. And I'm like, y'all joking and saying, oh, all I gotta do is just drink. Cause now on TikTok, they got this like soup, not soup. They got this tea that they making with like oranges, limes, garlic, cinnamon, and I think turmeric. And they say it's like the cure of COVID, or it helps you get over your COVID symptoms and whatnot. And I'm all for herbal and natural stuff because when you use that stuff in its highest potency or strength, it will knock some stuff out your system. Because I use it in spells, so if it gets some spells and stuff going, it can get your health and stuff back going too. But your New Year's resolution is trying to quit smoking. Okay, well you can do that. I'm actually going to review a book that I just bought, and I'm gonna show it to y'all right now if I can remember where it's at. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up and show it to y'all. So this is considered like the number one best-selling manifestation book on Amazon. It's called Manifestation Journal for Black women. You could get it on Amazon. They even have one for men. They have one for Black women, which is the one that I have, and then they have one for Black men. And I think it's interesting that they actually have one for men because when you think about spirituality and getting yourself together and coming in tune and in touch with your feelings, they don't really touch on the men too much. It's always the women that have to get it together. But yeah, this is a really good book, and I'm going to do a YouTube video on this later on because it goes through a lot of stuff. Now, you will be doing some homework because I have been writing in this thing since New Year's Eve because I have really been serious about manifesting a new life. And plus, that seems to be like the big thing that people are preaching people nowadays is, excuse me, is manifestation. Manifestation, dreams, goals, hopes, and wishes, and everything under the sun. So that's really good that people want a new life, a better life, and more money and all of that. So kudos to you, beautiful magic. But yeah, when it comes to this coronavirus, it is just like raging because even when I was at the concert, I had my mask on, but of course, when I took it down, I was singing. It's like I kind of got queasy a little bit. The thing is with me is that when I'm by myself, like where I am right now in my room, and I'm not dealing with anybody else or whatever, I'm fine. But it's like if I get in somebody else's car or get into a place that has a whole bunch of people in it, it's like I almost get sick in a way. And I guess due to me being closed off with the mask and locked away from other people's germs, it's like my system is just opening up to everybody else. And it's like I hate it. And that's why I started back taking vitamins so I can boost up my immune system. Because this virus is ridiculous. Like, do y'all not know that in March of this year, it will be 2 years since we have been in this virus? This virus came in March of 2020. Then last year was 2021. And then here we are in 2022, still dealing with the same thing, and it's worse. And I personally feel like we're not going to be out of this thing till another 2, 3 years. And I hate that it's going to take us as long, but if people will wear their masks and stop going to so many places, being unvaccinated and all of that. And most of the people that are dying now are not vaccinated because now they're saying the booster shot is needed and Vartec. What is a Vartec? Is that what you do? It's our new normal. It is our new normal because I'm like, this thing is crazy. My thing is that you don't even. This is stuff that like third world countries would go through. Like not something that you would think of us dealing with or going through like right now in this age and whatnot. And it just seems to be like, it's the new normal and whatnot. But I'm like, if we're supposed to be this prosperous, abundant country and whatnot, why are we still dealing with this? Why haven't we come up with something that could just zap it in the air and kill it, or that could just get rid of it instead of us still dealing with this? It's like I don't understand it. But yeah, it's just getting crazy and crazy with this thing. And going back to John B, like I did some research about John B because now I know what I was gonna say about John B. John B, he get to the business and everything because if you watch his Vlad interview that he did like 2 years ago, and he has an unsung. A lot of his music did come from his relationships because he almost got into some trouble when I read, an article about him being attracted to Beyonce. Because here's the thing with John B. So John B, and I love like John B's story, and this is what I miss about the '90s and early 2000s people. It's like back then, if you had a talent after you graduated high school, you could just like do whatever you wanted to do and like and sell it, and then you'll be discovered and become famous and all of that. Now it's like internet. But the internet, my thing is, it's the easier way, is less foot traffic or whatever. But I just feel like you miss out on those like one on ones and networks with people when you do stuff more online. But now, due to the coronavirus, it's a lot safer. So John B, his startup was pretty much, he had always been into music, like singing, but he actually said that he wanted to be more so of a producer than a singer, because he said that he used his voice to pretty much, I think, make the beats or to go along with the beats and everything. And I think I might be wrong, but I think somebody said that he should probably do singing or whatever, and it worked for him. And I've noticed that a lot of times when people have these talents, they focus so much on one talent that they really want, and they kind of hide the other talent that they have a little bit, and that talent they don't want to do ends up being bigger than the one that they want to do. I don't know, maybe it's just natural selection. That's how I feel. But he started singing and whatever, and then he started singing with Babyface, and then Babyface was pulling him around, getting him well known, and then he pretty much said that he was cool with Babyface or whatever, but he wanted his own sound. But when he did like the Cool Relax album, that was like, and I didn't even know, like, his first album I think was double platinum, and then his second album, Cool Relax, was like platinum, and I'm like, why didn't I? Because it is amazing to me, and one of the reasons why. And see, nowadays, in like the genres that we live in of music, especially if you listen to like Summer Walker, NBA Youngboy, NLE Chopper, and some of these like newbie people, their stuff just comes and goes. And you hear it in like a Vine, I know it doesn't exist anymore, TikTok, IG, Twitter, or YouTube clip or whatever, and it just comes and goes. But it's like 90s music is like really timeless and effortless. But the one thing that I can say, the difference between then and now, is that then people got credit for like the music that they put out, and they actually made some money, but they also had the numbers to back it up that it was a classic. Because the thing about John B and his music, his first album was double platinum. When you're double platinum, it means you done sold 2 million copies of your album. And when you one times platinum, you done sold 1 million copies. And like back then, when you had like number one album, number two album, you selling out, 500,000 to 500,000. That's like the starter base for, in between gold and platinum. If you sold more than 500,000 albums to 2 million albums in your first or 2 week of coming out, you was like the man or the woman back then. But you got credit for it. You would win awards, you would get Grammy nods, you would get noticed, your music and stuff would be played. And plus, back then, a lot of artists got a lot of exposure. Like in the 90s, John B, he wasn't just known for his music on the radio, he was actually on TV shows. Like, now, New York Undercover, I don't know if he was on an episode of New York Undercover. Probably was. Because everybody in the 90s that was new and up and coming, they had a slot at Natalie's on New York Undercover in the end. So I don't know if he was or not. You know what? Let me actually look that up. Let's see, John B on New York Undercover. He was on New York Undercover. Let's see. It was on Student Affairs. It says it right here. It aired on October 12th, 1995. It says Williams and is a substitute teacher and a janitor at a high school where a student is murdered. I don't remember that episode too much. I remember Manchild, but I don't remember that episode. But it had Eartha Kitt in there. I kind of remember it a little bit. I miss when TV One, or better yet, when Centric used to play New York Undercover, because they used to play that all the time. They used to play it like every holiday, every weekend. at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night, then 1 o'clock in the morning. Like they kept that TV show in high rotation back then. But yeah, John B was on New York Undercover because back then they a lot of up and coming artists. You were on all that. You were on New York Undercover. You were, I don't know so much about SNL. Probably, yeah, you were on SNL too. So when you started being on like these major TV shows, that's how you know you made it. And John B he even performed on all that. And he performed on the episode of Sister Sister when they went to the prom. Because I remember when he performed They Don't Know on that episode as well. Well, let me see if John B performed on all that. Yep, he was on all that. He performed Pretty Girl. So yep. So yeah, so he had a very like prolific career. He did get a lot of recognition. Some people say he's slept on, he's forgotten. I don't really think so per se because my thing is that it may be a little hard for John B to kind of be recognized or noticed now because you have a lot of this cultural appropriation stuff going on with like white people singing black people's music and the blackfishing with the braids and the dreadlocks and the tans and stuff like that. My thing is with John B, I feel like he gets a pass because my thing is that John B actually liked black women and black people and black culture, and he never tried to come in and invade or like try to take over our culture and whatnot. He's always appreciated it. And my thing is you can't really say like what he did back then was blackfishing because back then, black and white people just didn't mix that well relationship wise or really social wise too much, especially in hip hop and R&B. Because even on the unsung, they did say that he had to kind of blackenize himself a little bit, with the fade and the goatee, and he wore a lot of the like big R&B suits and stuff. And I mean, that's what he had to do back then to kind of fit the role so he could be believable and kind of confuse people a little bit so he could sell his music. But yeah, now I was going to talk about the Beyonce thing. So I did read an article and I was like, oh, please don't do something that's going to make you look bad or whatever, because y'all know a lot of the pedophilia and stuff is getting bad. But I read an article and it said that he kind of felt bad that he was like low key attracted to Beyonce when she was a teenager, mainly because like if you watch John B's Unsung, I think this was like after. I don't know if he was on La Face. I don't know a lot of the intricate details about the record label part. I just remember like the music part, social part, and whatever. I think this came when he joined Beyonce's dad and their music group kind of thing. To me, it's like Beyonce's dad was kind of like having the basement kind of thing that Missy Elliott and Magoo and Tweet and a lot of them had with the guy from Jodeci and Genuine when they first started out in the 90s. And it's like Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles, kind of wanted to do the same thing. And it's like John B kind of jumped in with that to kind of keep himself going and whatnot. And it didn't work out. Matthew Knowles, he doesn't really have a good rep with people in the industry. He's been around a lot. And I mean, he made Beyonce, but other than that, business wise, social wise, a lot of people don't have that much to say about him. That is nice from what I have read. And so, but other than that, John B has continuously put out music. So he's mainly known for his like 90s stuff, like from the Pretty Girl and the They Don't Know. And his last hit was Don't Talk. And at the concert, he did perform that song. So that was good. But yeah, it's like John B, when he put on his performance, he did a good beginning to end kind of thing. He has put out albums because my favorite song from him is on his album. I can't think of it, but the song is called "Oh So Sexy" and it has what's the name of that rapper? Not Bubba Sparks, but who's on this song? Paul Wall. Yeah, it got Paul Wall. But he also did like a song with DJ Quick called Real Women or something like that. But yeah, so he pretty much had a good run so far. But I hope you all like this video. Don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and have a good day.